This is the LaFountain Park Board meeting for February 19th. First, we have Chris and Isaac with for the Commonwealth.
Well, first things first, I did bring an agenda and the cost estimates for everyone to have a copy, so if you could pass those around to everyone. For those who I haven't met yet, my name is Isaac Martin. I work with Commonwealth Engineers. You met Rob. I'm one of his engineering interns, basically just pre-professional engineer. So I'm doing most of the cost work, and then I've been working with Gary and the rest of the board on the design for the park as well. So we do have a couple figures to present today. They were drawn up by our CAD department, and then added some markups based on the scope of work for the project.
Wendy's watching online.
Nikki's trying to get in.
Is it on the YouTube?
Can
we just tell her that it's
PC connected?
Yes.
If she, well, then she won't be able to respond.
Go down. Or you know how to get in, right?
Give me a call.
Mobile 1 connected.
Then she won't be able to respond, I guess.
Oh.
I stored an extra agenda. Thank you. Oh, no, it was the cost. So if you'll bear with us for a sec, trying to get connected to the TV so we can start going over the figures. Is there any extra copies?
I can make more. What do you
Oh,
need?
no. I'm just collecting any extras. I've got a digital copy.
Yeah.
Does that have to be hit with a remote? I don't know.
You should ask that you get your pairing number there.
Oh, okay.
You might have to hit okay on that.
Tracy, do you have the remote?
When I click OK,
I don't know. Oh,
here you go.
weird.
Okay, go back into pairing.
So, are you able to hit that at all? It looks like it's controlling the screen behind it.
It does. It is. Is that the remote for the TV itself?
Yes.
Yeah. Well. Oh no, that's the Roku remote. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
I think we need the actual
You got it.
Samsung remote.
You got a different remote up there?
Oh.
She's got one.
Is this it?
Is it a Samsung? If so, probably.
Okay.
Oh, you can try that. Not Kiara's Mac.
Oh,
Sorry, one sec. Okay.
very good.
It's trying to. It was for a second.
Turn off the Bluetooth and let's redo it again. And we'll slow down here for a second.
Go to your settings on the Roku.
On the Roku or the actual TV?
The,
TV.
Wait, it says connected.
oh, that's connected to you.
Hey, let's go. Oh, it appears to be audio only. Chris, are you able to put that at all?
He doesn't.
Did you say you were also having a projector?
I do have a projector with me. I just don't know where we're gonna hang it. Or display it.
That's a good question.
What if you hardwired it?
I mean, they'd have to, one of us will have to help them pull the TV off. the
Yeah.
wall To get the HDMI cable to work.
Oh, it's a.
You go to your,
He's got an HDMI cable, but just don't know where it's at. And I'm not tall enough to reach all the way up there to look, to feel for it.
Oh.
I could run home and get my old screen. For slides.
well, that's what we need right now, isn't it? Well, I don't, how long, it's, yeah. Let's see if we can get this. We should be able to get this here pretty quick.
Not here. That'd be that side.
I'm gonna say,
My side.
I already run home once, I can run again.
Right here it is.
Yep, I see it.
They need a step ladder.
I don't know if this cable's gonna be on there. You got it?
It won't be long enough to have you sit there. Pull it up.
Cable back. Face this way. You told me. Not get on my shoulder.
Yep. You got it.
I think it should be able to.
Teamwork.
Make this faster. We don't need to-
Move that over.
Just live a block
There you
away.
go.
Thanks, guys.
What's the main voice? My plain voice. Technical support.
All right, we're in business.
No, you have to use the Roku remote. Hit the home key on the Roku.
Oh, this one.
Let's
Is
see.
it this, oh, the Roku?
I know what slides are.
Hit home on the Roku.
Oh, right.
This stuff.
Right.
My son-in-law just one half the afternoon trying to help me get stuff off my computer.
I think he's.
Way above my head.
Did you hit a button?
I didn't do anything.
Me
I
neither.
know, just must be dangerous.
Oh, I'm self-taught.
Yep.
Red light blinking right down there.
Should be turning on. There it is.
Roku HDMI 1 or is it HDMI 2? Can you change the HDMI on with that?
I think you have to do it with that one, Chris.
He's got to do it with TV remote.
I could,
Go into settings.
Or does it have an input button?
Yeah, input. There's an input right here. There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Mine's up in the upper corner when you do. You get input.
There's your digital output audio.
Yes, it's not on that. It's not in your settings there. You should have an input.
I wonder if it's in the first one.
You and Roku go home.
connection guy. No, you don't want a guide. Go clear to the left and down. So the 3 bars. There you go.
There we go.
That's it.
Wait, that one says
Next to the connect device.
Oh, there you go. That's it.
There you go.
Thank you, buddy.
That should be it right there.
I would assume, yeah. Spoke to the other one.
There we go.
Oh,
Got it.
pretty.
And sometimes you're the pros, sometimes you're the genius, right?
Hit the down button on the Samsung.
Down button. This one?
It says right there, that shows a picture of the circle. Nope, this one right here.
Gotta have it right with me.
Oh.
That'll go away here in a second if you just leave it alone.
And then,
Should.
all right, well, I'll just go ahead and start by getting all the figures open here. And then we start going through the agenda. Everybody had a chance to hit the sign-in sheet already?
I just gotta hit that little back button.
You think after all
The
these
light's
years,
not going away.
I you sign
Hey, Robert.
Hit the little back arrow.
Here, you got
Cord, speaker, got the speaker.
Parked down there so that I could just.
Now we're good.
Isaac, did you have any more of these? Here's the meeting agenda. I'll get you a copy of.
I do have another copy of the costs.
Do you?
It's just a little different from the other one.
We can.
Okay, I can
Here.
make a copy or
Tracy?
to Robert.
By the way, my name's Gary Herring.
Ariel Galligan.
I'm Robert Bile. We're all on the park board. Wendy's the president of the park board, but she's not here tonight. She's listening in and she's off with the flu, some kind of bug.
All right. Well, now we got the TV situation figured out. Let's start going through the agenda. So, first things first, we'll talk about the priority of proposed improvements that we followed. So, this is kind of the same list that we've been following throughout design. So that starts first with site work, and then goes into all the various parts of site work here. So you can see grading, concrete removal and brush removal, cleaning up on Grant Creek, the parking lot with the walkway to the baseball field, the bridge, and then basically all your electrical plumbing and sewer work to be done pretty much before everything else. Next priority is going to be the pavilion, moving on to the playground, the athletic courts, walking path, splash pad, baseball facility upgrades, and then into the restroom facilities. And then this was not on the original priorities list, but regrading of the sledding hill to be toward the other direction. And we can get into why in a little bit later. But this is the priority list that we have been following. So obviously you guys are, within your rights to change it, flip around, and I assume we will based on the costs that we're going to look at here in a little bit. But moving on from just the overall priority list. So this is everything that's included with the park. So there are, how many there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different areas. So we'll have 9 different cost estimates to present, all combining into one big one for the overall project.
So this is Chris Harrison with Commonwealth Engineers. Again, as Isaac has stated, as we walk through this project, this will be for the total cost of the project, the estimated total cost. Doesn't include what we're looking for with the initial round of grant funding, Okra grant funding. And once we work through all these cost estimates, we'll be looking at the park board to help us evaluate what is priority as far as moving forward with this project.
So moving into our figures here and our location data. So we're going to present 5 figures today. I'll just go through them real quick. We have the overall park layout here. So this is just the overall site based on our most recent rendering. Then we'll move into the demolition and clearing. So demolishing existing concrete pads and clearing of Grant Creek. We have our water and sewer figure showing all of the water, new water mains, sewer mains, sanitary manhole, and then a yard hydrant. We've got slightly before the restroom layout, our electrical figure. So this shows roughly where we have conduit going, our lights, and then the new electrical control panel. And then rounding everything out, a rough layout of what we have designed so far for the restroom building. So that's going to be near the pavilion. So we'll get more into those as we go through the various estimates. But if anyone has any questions on the estimates or the actual figures at any point, just feel free to let me know and I can try and answer pretty much anything you got. So.
This is Chris again. On the park drawing, note that the walkway on the north side of the creek needs to be deleted. The CAD guys did not get to delete it, or the second bridge. That needs to be removed as well. That will be removed in the final design.
Yeah, that's a good point. So as we have found out, the town actually doesn't own the land on that side, so we can't do any of those walkways. So yeah, exactly as Chris said, just imagine none of the paths you see up here being in place, but everything you see pretty much south of Grant Creek is what we have in mind as far as the new layout and then the new improvements to existing, mostly just to the baseball field. But going back to the agenda, so like I said, those are 5 figures we're going to look through. The layouts are based on dimensions that we gathered from a site visit a couple weeks ago, Google Earth imagery, if we couldn't get any dimensions from that, and then also, what am I trying to say here? Our CAD department measurements as well, mostly also based on Google Earth imagery. So just so everyone's aware, we do plan to have a surveyor out to the site here roughly next week is what we're looking at timeline-wise. So they'll be shooting in the elevations of the site and then points of existing infrastructure. So the playground that's already out there, the baseball field, the baseball diamond, things like that. Also the light poles that are out there. And the existing concrete pads that we are going to need to demo with the project.
Let's fill them in just a minute. What we also found out there is the concrete that the building was out there before, sail barn. All that concrete is still covered in dirt out there in the middle, over top of it. So that's another thing we have to look at too, going through.
Yeah, so we're gonna try. I'm not sure if they've been out. I know you've been out already, Gary. But we have asked the town maintenance department to try and dig down and try and find the corners of that building so we can survey it in when the surveyors come out. So hopefully we're able to do that to get a better idea of roughly where that is. So we've been told there's been roughly 8 to 12 inches of soil put on top of there. So hoping that's accurate. If it is, then we shouldn't have to tear up too much of it, but we'll have to see. So moving in, I'll just kind of briefly go over the overall park view first before we get into the estimates. That way everyone kind of has a better idea of what exactly we're looking at here. So just for everyone's reference, north is going to be upwards in this figure. A couple points to note. The blue dashed lines you see here are the approximate floodway around Grant Creek. So for those who aren't aware, basically you consider that as a no-build zone. You can build in it, but it's very hard to get permitted. So we're going to try, if at all possible, to stay out of that. And we should be able to with the area that we have. I'm not too concerned about getting into it. But that's what we're looking at for the floodway. As far as existing, pretty much everything to the left of this path here is all going to be new. So we do have some existing play areas around here, which I'll get into here in a little bit. This pavilion is actually the existing basketball court that is out there. Other existing features are the baseball diamond and then the 2 dugouts as well. We've also got some bleachers out there. But as far as existing, that's pretty much it. If you've ever been out there, you've most likely just seen mostly a big empty field. So primarily what you're seeing there is where we're going to be putting all of the new infrastructure / play areas. So I'm just going to work from left to right here and kind of go through what we're envisioning so far. So as you can see, we are at the corner of Walnut and Logan. There's a small existing house here with a garage that we do have some easement stakes out there for, so we will need to stay off of their property. But as you can see here, this is roughly where we plan on putting the new parking area. So dimensions on this are roughly 120 by 180. You can see here the entrance would be, or entrance / exit would be here on this side and here as well. Both sides connected to Walnut Street. So you could just come in and come out as you please. Moving more towards the east, we will start getting into the walking path. So these markings you see here, it looks kind of like stone almost. That's the walking paths that we have laid out so far. So as you can see, it kind of goes around the entirety of the park. You can access all of the different parts of it. And then also provides a walkway here. If you were ever to go to the baseball diamond, you could either cut through the play area or walk around, stop the pavilion, and go over here to the baseball diamond. Moving on to the courts, we have 2 planned here. So we have 1 set of pickleball courts. This is representing 2 individual pickleball courts. It's not just one big one. So you could have 2 folks playing at once. And then moving more towards the right, we have the basketball court here, which is set up to be standard high school size.
Standard full high school.
Yep. Same with the goals, or not the goals, the hoops, standard, I believe it's 10-foot high school size. Moving further south here, we have the main pavilion, which is where the restrooms were planned to be. So it's hard to see, but you can kind of see it here. The men's restroom or women's, doesn't really matter which side it goes on. But 1 restroom here, 1 restroom here, and then a mechanical room / storage closet in between. We continue to move to the east. We've got our large play equipment and small play equipment areas, essentially just mulched areas with regular playground equipment. And then moving here, we have the splash pad. So for those who aren't aware, splash pad is basically just a big concrete pad. If you've ever seen one where there's water shooting out of the ground, the kids can play in it if it's hot or just if they feel like it. So that's what we have here. I already talked a little bit about the small pavilion, but this would be where the existing basketball court is, to just sit right on top of the existing pad, or existing concrete pad, I should say. And then last bit of improvements, we're not planning on doing much with the baseball field other than providing a set of youth soccer goals to sit in the outfield. I did plan on having those be a non-permanent movable kind. So if you were ever to have a baseball game here, all you'd have to do is slide the goals over. You could play your game and then you could put them right back. So that's kind of the whole overview of the park. I will talk a little bit about the sledding hill here as well. So it's hard to see you can't really see it much as it's not it's on a topography map. But essentially, coming off of Logan Street, you have a gravel path that goes into the park here for maintenance workers to use. It's sloped currently this way to the east. So right now, primarily sledding towards the basketball courts. So just to kind of give you a preview of what we had in mind for this, essentially regrading it to the west. So kids will slide that way towards this nice open field and not towards the concrete pad. It's kind of what we were thinking there. But that's pretty much it as far as the overall view. Does anyone have any questions or any comments? Yes.
So the goals will be removal for the soccer field.
Yeah, so
Where will the concession stand that we heard about was supposed to be?
They're gonna use the same building they have.
We will be.
Yeah, it can be moved, it's
I'm
gonna be
director
moved out
for
of the
Little League
floodplain
down
area.
here, so.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it can be moved down along.
No, it needs to be right, really, it would be nice if we keep it where it's at, because the problem with concession stands is getting parents to volunteer to do it.
Yeah,
They need to be able to see their kid play while they do it.
get you. I get you.
Otherwise, it's a royal hassle.
Since the floodplain's back there now,
It should-
would it be okay where it's at? That would be my question.
I mean,
So-
it's not on a foundation, so.
Yeah, so here again, and this is a follow-up for previous conversations, we need to determine the flood elevation.
Yeah.
And we'll know that after the survey is taken. Because we know that some of the flood elevation is 797.5 feet. And any permanent structures that will be included with this park will be at 799 or higher. So with that, it needs to be determined at that point, once we get that information, where we can lay any permanent building.
Well, I know that I'm the one that helped put this ball field in, so. I've been down here for 25 years, so, I've only seen it flood that one time, so. Second question, are you gonna put fence all the way around? We need fence all the way around.
The base,
Backfield fence and everything.
All the way around the bottom right picture, bottom
Yeah,
right
where
of
you
the
got
picture,
trees at.
where the trees are.
Oh,
We
like
need
an
that
outfield,
badly.
home run fence?
To actually be a legal ball field, we actually need it.
You can have a home run fence and then it needs to be fenced in.
The
Along the
overall
property
scope,
lines.
the fence was not included. That's something we can include with the pricing, because right now, these are all estimate pricing. Okay, what the intent here is to give the community an overall cost of what everything in the park would be. So we can throw that estimated price of that fence. Are we looking at basically a 4-foot fence?
Yeah.
There's a chain link fence, so like maybe the soccer balls or even baseballs that are hit over the fence won't travel into the people's home's yard. That, I mean, because we could be out there playing catch now or batting practice, whatever, balls go in their yard.
You guys are dealing with that now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing too, I don't know whether you included or not in your first estimate, is the fence down along the third baseline
Yeah, it's
A
pretty
tall
good.
one.
is trash.
Yeah.
And,
it's-
or even,
I've
putting
been
a couple
nursing it
poles
for a
up.
lot of years.
putting a couple poles up, like right past the dugout.
Yeah.
And all the way down a little bit, so when foul balls are hit, they don't go down the creek.
okay, so before we move on from that, I just want to make sure that my understanding is correct. So essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're leaving this fence and this fence, or were these one of the ones you were talking about,
No, from-
replacement?
From right there where your cursor is over, needs
Right.
replaced. And it needs to be moved forward about to the front of the dugout, like the other one is, like the other fence is.
Okay.
So you can leave the existing if you want it, I don't care, but it needs to be moved forward. And then all the way, you know how a baseball back.
Like,
fence is? Yep.
Yeah,
It's got the, yeah.
You can look it up online and get
It really
dimensions
all the way
as to what it is.
All the way back to about here, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see that foul ball's
so
going over.
about,
we had a problem with that a lot last
Yeah.
year, foul balls going.
Yeah,
in the
there you
creek.
go.
okay, so just regular outfield fencing here, and then this one, that it needs to move forward, but we can reuse the existing, or would you want the fence replaced?
It's gonna need replaced.
It's gonna be replaced.
It was there before
Yeah,
I
it's,
came here.
it's laying down.
What phase is the baseball upgrades? Do you remember off the top of your
I
head?
do not remember.
I don't think we phased that yet, have
I
you?
think it was
No,
phased, it was
because that
towards the
wasn't in.
last.
And the other thing we talked about too, bleachers, is replacing all the boards and the bleachers. It
Right,
seems
yeah,
like
they're
those-
due, yeah. I replaced them once.
Yeah, because they're starting to.
Yeah, that's been like 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah,
It's probably been a long time.
Because in the baseball, when we've talked about it, I don't think fencing has been mentioned because on the plan it says existing baseball field fencing, dugouts and backstop are in good condition. So I don't know if that's
Yep.
something,
The one dugout on the be closest to the creek, had a tree fall on it last year. It needs
Yeah.
Yeah.
repaired.
We looked at that.
Yeah, because the bleachers, Southwood donated those bleachers. I drug them down there. And we replaced the boards a long time ago.
Did you know there was some up in the, on the hill, buried in there?
Oh, no.
There's some down towards the, east end, he's buried up in the, I don't know whether they drug him out there or not, or whether.
Because see, the baseball field used to face towards that
Mhm.
one area there, and that was terrible.
I mean, is that something we can put in as a price and see if
So
that's something?
all these things are things we can do. I will say some of the things that we have talked about, like the bleachers, the tops, and then even maybe the dugouts. We were thinking that was something more the town could do on your own. And the reason we say that,
I'm willing, if you're willing to buy the wood, I'll replace
Yeah,
it.
we'll put it back
Um,
together.
Yeah, we'll
Dugouts
do
are
that.
fine the way
We
they
can
are.
do- We can probably do the fencing if you guys
What
want to do
thickness
the
is
seals.
I don't know if that's the
probably-
scope
are
of
they
this
deck boards
project.
or-
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
probably.
Right, that's
So,
outside
Two by
of.
might be a
2 by 8,
conversation
yeah.
to
2 by 8
have
trees,
another
yep.
time.
Now with
Anything
this,
something like
we're going to give you an overall estimated cost outlining what we think the estimates are going to be with current projects. So we want to know that, hey, we want to update that fence, we want to estimate costs on the fence, all good. What's going to happen here is that this initial phase is basically doing the groundwork and establishing some key functional structures, okay? And then after that, the park board will be looking at other grant funding and other opportunities to upgrade different assets within the park. Does that make sense?
But like he
Yeah.
did mention, it does need to have a home run fence per se. To be
How far out from home plate does the home run fence need to be?
As far out as we can get it.
that's pretty much as
It's
far as
actually
the
too
existing-
short on this left.
There is
on
no
the-
fence
on the
there.
First base side,
Sorry,
it is
to
actually
match
gonna
the
be too
corners.
Yeah,
Okay.
it needs to,
Could basically connect the two
from foul pole
corners.
to foul pole,
Right.
Yeah.
all the way around.
Yeah,
As
it's really
far out
nice
as you
to
get,
have
'cause
this
our-
information.
the
so
field
that
is
we can
actually
use
gonna be
it,
short legally,
Mhm.
but as far as out as we can
because
get
it
it.
is the last part of.
Because
of
at Little League, I
the
mean,
thing, so.
kids.
And you
if
know
the
how
kid
important
hits it
baseball is to some
out
kids
past
too.
there,
Oh, it's so
Wild
important
Wings
because
after home
my
run.
kids
Yeah.
play,
Right.
but
They
we
love
need to
that,
get
yeah.
back
How
to
long is the board
Isaac's.
You remember how long?
Oh, no, I'd have to maybe.
Yeah, that's the way I was.
Yeah,
I did have a question. We talked
They're,
about
they're,
putting
they're
fencing
spliced together.
around the
Two
playground,
different
correct?
sizes, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then just looking at the pavilion, sorry to move, but the pavilion, is there a way, and I don't know, I'm just thinking when I look at this, the pavilion's open except for into the restrooms. Is there a way to flip that so that people that are sitting in the pavilion also have like an eye line shot of the basketball courts, but also the
play area.
playground, that kind of stuff? So if
So
parents-
essentially just move the restrooms from
Yes.
this
Right,
side.
so
Yeah,
the
they- yeah.
From the
restrooms
east side to the
are,
west
so
side.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
do it
that
at
you
an angle,
can,
see,
you
they can
sit
see
there, if I'm
everything.
looking back at my
Look
kids,
that.
I can see them
Good.
while I'm still
Yeah.
doing what, just as
Yeah,
a,
that's-
If you flip it, if you flip it.
And that also,
90,
like he just mentioned, to help with the sun.
If you flip it
Oh,
90,
that was
then
the
they
one I
can't
had.
see one side, they won't be able to see the pickleball courts. But if you do it at an angle, you can see everything.
What's that?
The pavilion, the main pavilion. If you drop that right corner down towards the bottom, towards south, you can
So where
see
his
everything.
arrow is that he's typing,
Yeah.
just take the opposite end and just come down, just come straight down to where he's
Yeah.
typing.
Sets this way.
Yeah, and
Or
just
catty corner.
We put it
and
this
drop
way
it at an
for,
angle, see?
we put it this way for one reason, and we don't know yet, is that concrete slab that's out there
Mhm.
is right underneath the
this
pavilion and goes back probably into here, comes
Oh,
out to
it covers
here.
that basketball goals and the
So
pickleball all the
possibly
way.
putting the pavilion, the concrete, once they uncover it,
That makes
and
sense.
take drilling samples, if it works, put the pavilion on the concrete to save some money.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, if you turn it this way, you gotta look at the
Well-
sun coming over the building.
No, turn
Here's
it,
a
go the
question.
other way. This way, take the right hand side of it, come down toward the trees.
Oh, so I got
That's what I mean.
on a 45.
But your sun of an evening when you have bands and stuff is gonna be coming this way.
Here, I got a solve for you. If you put the two bathrooms on this end together, you would save on plumbing and cost. And you'd have the bathrooms together and you could make that end all open.
Mhm.
And that block the sun coming in.
So you'd put the
And you'd save a lot of money on
restrooms to the
plumbing.
west,
So
But no,
before we get too far into things, right? I know we see the figure and want to make changes, but I would like to stay on the cost estimates that we have right now. So I get you guys want to make changes. I think the best thing we can do is rather than try and redesign the whole thing today, if you'd like, I'm going to send out a copy of this figure once we get done with this meeting. So if we could get everyone's email before I leave.
And there will be 2 public meetings for people to come and discuss, and
Yeah.
we've just been doing the best we could with all the information.
And this is all good feedback. This is exactly what the park board wants. And there's several options you can do with the bathrooms. You can have them attached to the pavilion. You can have them as a standalone. And either or the option reflects on the overall cost. And we need to know what that is.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense?
Bathrooms together, that's gonna be cheaper by far, so.
Another thing I did not hear you mention, what about lighting? Telephone poles for lighting?
That is what these yellow markings are. So those are light poles.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do any good for the ball field though.
Yeah. You'll,
Well, we're
Uh,
discussing, like, right now, it's just like the whole park in general. So
I mean, if you got any questions.
maybe
just
lighting
Go
later,
to any
but
other ball field in this county and look at their ball fields.
yeah, just the
They're
big
actual ball
site
fields.
lighting.
We're the only ones that don't have one.
How much, what teams are playing out there? I know T-ball's out there.
T-ball,
T-ball,
coaches
coaches
pitch,
pitch,
and majors.
major leagues. There are probably 2 teams of majors.
These
Okay.
both are coaches down at.
I know. Because the only thing I actually heard in all the meetings I've had is T-ball and coaches pitch.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
there was
majors,
majors
yeah.
out of there. There's all of them last year.
Okay.
And there's a light post out there
From
now.
5-year-olds to
There's,
12.
the light don't work.
And the other thing, they're running electricity to the ball field, because there's a box here on the end of the one dugout,
Right.
but they're running electricity down to the corner there too, where you actually have electricity out there. If you ever want to add something, music, microphone, whatever out there.
We need a scoreboard too, but I doubt you're gonna.
Yeah,
do that.
we're out of money in the first 2 things on there.
Yeah, so that's another important point to mention. At least with our current grant, Gary's right. We only have roughly $460,000 to work with this initial Okra grant. Plus, you mentioned some maybe matching from the town. But just as far as the actual grant funds right now, we're only looking at a little under $500,000. So exactly like Gary said, we're at least with this current grant, we're getting through the site work and then the 2 pavilions. So obviously keep all this in mind still, and we'll implement whatever you guys have.
I'd be happy if you
but-
guys just done the back fence. I really would.
To be honest, at all of our park meetings, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 people, and we're all on the park board. And that's why we was always asking for people to come. You see, it's begging on Facebook.
Most of the time
Come to
Thursdays, I'm in
meetings.
it for
Yeah.
volleyball practice.
Come into
Okay.
meetings.
I
Give
think
us
that, I
ideas.
think
And
that,
Stay
this
on
is
track
good.
with
This is good.
Isaac.
We're glad you came, but keep coming
The,
in. And get other people to come in. Because now our next
25 years,
phase is
and the main thing
donations,
has
is going
been
out and earning or getting money at different things.
I think as the park board, our goal is to give a foundation, which might not be as much as what you can see visibly as far as extra things, but with the grant money, this is the only time we're getting this chunk of money to do these big things that are going to be able for us to build on to other things that we might be able to get community support, donations, go after other grants. So I think our main goal is to get a good foundation for the whole landscape of the park so that we're able to, once we finish phase 1, 2, and 3 with this grant, we can focus in on having, maybe a year dedicated to improving the ball fields, because I think that's something that our community would buy into. And we would be able to get community donations, go after grants that are specific for those age ranges, as well as getting community involvement to help improve those things. But I feel like we kind of focused on what's going to give us the most for this one-time chance that we have for this grant, to lay out the groundwork to be able to make improvements not just within the 5-year plan, but continuing on. And then the town's able to maybe at some point help with some of those other projects once we make those improvements and we have those baseline things.
I mean, the park's been, the main thing that's been used for 20 years since we lost the school was baseball down there, so.
I've only lived here a handful of years, but I mean, we use the playground all the time. So I think it's different for all individuals in the town.
So that's the intent.
Just
That's
get
the
back to the
intent.
costing and make sure we get through that tonight.
Isaac, go ahead, please.
So yeah, like I said, we will take into consideration what you guys have, but at least for now, let's just start going through some of the base costs we have, and then we can change as we go through design as well. But this is just kind of what we have as of right now. So just give you an idea of how we develop these costs. They are developed for each individual item, and they are all collected up in that first estimate, as I said. So we do our estimates based on our own bid tabs from past projects with similar scopes. So we just had a trail project go out, which is where I got a lot of the trail pricing. We had, not our company specifically, but we had some other references for the pavilion. So online costs as well. So there's several cost calculators out there, specifically like for the baseball field and pickleball courts. Online research, so for things more specific like the basketball goals that you can look up pricing for, things like that. Senior engineer estimates, so our senior engineers have done, I couldn't even tell you how many cost estimates. So some of these items were just stuff that they have on hand, firsthand knowledge of. And then if all else fails, there are some placeholder values in, so not too many. But there are a couple that are just placeholders or really rough estimates for now before we get some more information. So going through just the first couple here, you can see in this table 1, we have your overall construction cost estimate. So I did update it today. So
Isaac, can you put that on the screen too?
Oh, yes. Yes, I can. So this note is a little misplaced. I actually was updating the cost today, and the site work came out to be a little more than I had thought. So roughly, we're going to be spending the grant, at least with my initial estimates, with the site work. So if you open up the cost estimates that I gave you, the second one, if you flip to, you can see each individual item broken out and roughly what we are envisioning to go into each item. So that actually does continue on to the page after that. But if you take a look and see, you can see we break it out by several different line items for each cost and then add it all up to be the total estimate, including some lump sum items, some allowance items, and then some prices per foot of various things. So just going through the site work, I'll go through some of the considerations we had for putting the cost together. So first thing that's got to get done pretty much out of all of them is rough grading of the site. We're thinking west of the baseball field, just pretty much that entire area from roughly the creek to, you could imagine, Logan Street as a general area for that. Trying to grade it out to be all roughly the same elevation there. Removal of the existing concrete pads. There's also an asphalt strip out there. There's also a big, I don't know, probably 12-foot high chain link fence that's pretty much right in the middle of everything. So that's going to be considering removing all of that along with rough grading the site. So essentially just getting it to a flat piece of dirt is what those first two are going to be doing. Next, I talked about cleanup of Grant Creek. So that's another consideration we had. Clearing the entire north side of that bank, and then also cleaning up any concrete that's gone into the creek. So if you've ever been by Walnut and gone on the bridge, you can actually look down on the bank on the south side and see big chunks of concrete down there. So we consider removing all of the, like I said, the clearing and then all of that concrete. Next, included with the site work is going to be your parking lot. So pretty self-explanatory there. Next, we did consider, and this is one thing that we're still working with the park board on, but replacing that existing bridge that goes across the creek. This would be just replacement of the superstructure. So we are aware that there is a lot of historical significance with that. We are still working with the park board on exactly what we want to do, but just for right now, that's what our costs consider. So moving on from that, the last thing is going to be your water, power, and sewer. So our rough costs for each of those, starting out with site grading, I had roughly 15,000 for. Moving on to brush removal, roughly 24,500. 22,500 for the cleanup. Parking lot is your second most expensive item there. As you can imagine, it's a large part of the cost, so roughly 140,000 for that. Again, the bridge, replacing the superstructure alone, roughly 55, and then we'll call it 185 or so for your electrical, plumbing, and sewer. So I will go back to our figures here. Most of these figures are relating to that initial site work phase. So first, we will go into the clearing and removal. So the lighter blue that you can see on the north side here represents our cleared area of Grant Creek, clearing the trees, and then you can also consider this the removal of the concrete. I don't believe it goes this far down. It looks to be roughly stopping here at the bridge. Just roughly, but thinking about clearing the entire north bank there. And then the existing concrete, and this should also say asphalt now that I've gone to the site today. But this here is roughly where we have the existing concrete and asphalt pads, and then the fence is also roughly on the back side of this. We also have another existing concrete pad on the south side here. Thankfully, we're missing most of it with this, but we are still going to consider removal of it just because it's in pretty bad shape. There's not much to be done with it at this point. And like I said, it is in rough shape. It's jagged. So, but that is what we are considering for demolition and removal. I did also put the existing park equipment area on here, so you guys were able to see that. That was something that Wendy had requested I do, so we can start to get an idea of roughly how much area we're working with in the new areas as compared to the old, and then roughly how much we're going to have for new equipment as well. So moving on to water and sewer. So as you can see, I should say, can everyone see the legend okay? So if anyone can't see anything, let me know. I was somewhat running out of colors at this point. But generally, you have water and sewer lines on both Walnut and Logan Street. The water does change sizes a bit, but either way, we'd be planning on running 2-inch water mains over to the bathroom, and then a 1-inch line to the actual bathroom itself. We would then plan on running a 2-inch line to the splash pad, and then replacing the existing yard hydrant that's roughly here in the center of the large area, replacing it to roughly there where the pavilion's at. That's another thing that we can work out as well. This is just where roughly I had it to start. So we can definitely have that moved or add a couple others as well. Those are relatively low costs. And then the purple here is your sewer line coming out of the bathroom. So we were originally planning on going to Logan Street. Didn't mean to grab that. But if you've ever been to the site, you could. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's really steep. So it's roughly a 10-foot elevation change. So kind of hard to run a gravity sewer uphill, as you can imagine. So we're having it go out to Walnut Street, which is much lower in the ground. So we should be able to just run a gravity sewer straight to there.
So at that point, would it be beneficial to flip the bathrooms to the west side?
Yeah, definitely. We would have to run less sewer. We would have to run a little more water, but at least from what I've seen in my costs, the sewer lines are actually more expensive than the water lines. So yeah, that probably would save a little bit of cost there.
Where all the water lines connect, there will be a meter pit somewhere you can disconnect and basically blow out for winterization.
Yeah, because the water lines down there have been broke for years.
Sure.
Could never get them replaced, so.
So, yeah, as Chris said, we would be able to blow out both those, and then we would also have a similar system for the splash pad. So obviously you don't want to be running that in winter. It's very expensive, the piping that's going to go into that. So we would consider something where we could blow those lines out at the end of winter as well. We would have to have a valve here and a manhole here for the sewer line and the water line. So that's a little bit of extra infrastructure that we need to consider. But this is roughly what we're envisioning so far. So does anyone have any questions on the water sewer? Actually not power in this one, but just water and sewer.
Does the splash pad just drain into the creek or is it draining into the sewer line?
So what a lot of the splash pads, existing ones do is they actually recirculate the water, so you use less. Eventually, I believe you would need to run it out to the sewer. So the splash pad costs we have are inclusive of those kinds of costs. We estimated the amount of main cost to there, but we don't have any sewer accounted for in that. So moving on to our last kind of overall site figure. So as I said earlier, these yellow markings are light poles that we have so far. So the existing electrical box is on the west dugout here. So we would envision replacing that with a essentially a bigger model that could run all of these systems, and then connecting underground conduit to all of it. And then eventually, I know we discussed having some kind of sign at the front. So I know we are still trying to figure that out. So we're not proposing a sign so much as just conduit for an existing or a future sign if you guys ever want to add something like that, or maybe just a light pole out there or something like that. We'd also be running power to the restrooms because we do plan on having both heat and lights at the bathrooms. So
Will they be closed during the winter?
That would be the plan. Yeah. So we were thinking of locking doors so the maintenance staff could lock them during the winter because you're probably not going to be using it too much, we wouldn't think. And then you could blow out the water in that building as well, so you wouldn't have to worry about keeping it heated all the time. So yeah, we could definitely have it. Locking is what we were thinking for that.
The light post that you have there, just to the right of the large play area.
This one here.
Yep. Would that be just facing that way, or could it be facing toward the baseball field as well?
So right now we don't have. We're not that far into design as to where we're facing the lights at. So at least what I was envisioning was just kind of a 360 lamp that you could light, around the pole and not have it just be one area. But I know we are considering the lights for the field. So that is something you could think about, is having maybe a floodlight go towards the park area and then have another one go towards the baseball field, and then maybe one on either side so you could see both sides of the path, the park area, and then the baseball field as well.
Question, what are the upgrades to the baseball diamond that are proposed?
So right now, all we have is adding the 2 goals in the outfield.
Well,
So
that's not upgraded to the ball field though.
well, that's what we had for the scope. So that's all we have right now for that. So
Yeah, we hadn't had anybody mention anything about that in our meetings or anything, so we didn't go down that route.
So we kind of just looked over the last couple of months meeting to see kind of what would fit within the budget of the grant, and kind of making those priority lists over the last couple of months at our monthly meetings.
But as far as the site work, that is what we're envisioning right now. So that's pretty much all the figures I have for the site work. Anyone have any other questions for that part of it?
Where's your electrical service coming in from?
So it is coming in from Logan Street right now. It's not shown, but there's a pole roughly here. It comes in from Logan Street and then heads this way towards some other existing light poles. And then there is also one here with some security cameras.
That don't work.
That don't work. Flood killed them.
Yeah, we,
Because the box was in our concession stand.
I get you. Okay.
Main thing we need lighting at the ballpark. I mean, I could care less about anything else. We just need lighting. Because when we have the late 6:30 games in the summertime,
I was on the.
we have to
first
cut some,
committee.
there was a couple of times that we had to cut our game short because it was too dark to see. And we're gonna put our kids at risk to get hit with the, with the ball, even though sometimes they need it. But
Sure, we're gonna mark that down as, I can't guarantee you what type of lighting.
anything's better than what's now.
But the LED lighting is becoming really efficient and very cost effective. It may be the point that we can do some basic or put into the scope of work, some basic lighting for the park as the overall scheme associated with that. We will also want to know with that electrical service is we want to size it appropriately to make sure that, hey, if the future is looking at lighting around the baseball diamond, that we want to size it appropriately.
Yeah, I would think that as long as obviously the goal here is build infrastructure. So if you got you may not be able to set a pole, but you've at least got, here's how we're going to do it.
Even if like right there where your green cursor is that you just typed on,
Mhm.
if there was a pole there on that side of that dugout, the face, or even with a big light on it, face for the ball field, that would do wonders.
We used to have one a long time ago on that other pole that's separated by the box,
Yeah.
but it was enough at least to give, you can see what you're doing. See what you're doing.
Oh, and by the way, your big tree out there is coming down.
The
Oh, the
cottonwood.
cottonwood?
Yeah, it's already in to be chopped off, gone. Because I had mentioned just trimming it up where the foul balls didn't go into it. And John said, no, just because I said there's a chance of limbs falling on the kids and everything else. And he said, we'll just get it out of there. So they're supposed to be
Gonna
taking
do
it.
away with a lot of the shade too.
Well, you got shade or you got,
So
No matter what,
another
yeah.
thought process when Isaac and I were out there is that we change the electrical service towards the south, and that would be your main MC panel. Then you could potentially remove those as existing wooden poles. And then obviously you would have to replace that with new modern updated poles that would be in conduit. So you eliminate anything as far as electrical in the air. But we just need direction from the park to include that or not include that accordingly.
Like I said, we need lights.
Actually, we do have power coming over here, so, we could have a service coming from here over to here, where you're saying. So that is something we can consider for sure. I think that's about it as far as the site actual plan goes, or at least the first phase.
Isaac, do you want to pull up the bathroom schematic?
I can, yeah. So this was kind of later in the priority list. But this is roughly what we're thinking of for the bathrooms. So we had 3 designs that we were considering, and this is kind of what we ended up with. So it's not as wide as the pavilion, but this is kind of what we were thinking as far as efficiency for the block, and also giving us enough space for both restrooms and then a small mechanical room in between both. So as you can see, this would be our women's, this would be our men's. We're thinking 1 stall in the men's, 2 stalls for the women's, 1 ADA compliant large stall for both, and then a urinal for the men's. We do a sink for each, and then it's not drawn, but we would have various things: paper towel holders, trash cans, stuff like that.
and that's the stainless steel prison pipe. Can't destroy it.
Pretty much,
Okay.
yeah.
Well-
Can I suggest putting 2 stalls in the men's restroom?
We could.
Just have 2 toilets in there, just like the women's side.
Good.
And a urinal.
Just 2 toilets. And
Okay.
eliminate people
Can we
waiting
see what
outside
the
if they
price
needed-
difference
know,
with that would be?
When you got 30 kids down there.
Right.
trying to put
Yeah,
down
the
all
price
50.
difference, and I just wanted to sort of explain, this has been several year process, and so that you guys are coming in with the baseball, it's nice to hear what your needs are and your guys' requests, but it's always like, I want a walk path, or Ariel wants for little kids, so we gotta take all this into consideration, and we've got this small amount of money.
Just
Do you guys
having,
fundraise, or
Just adding what we added right here.
Like that, so
Time you put
Yeah.
the home
I
run
mean,
fence in,
working together
Yeah.
might be a
really
great
expensive.
opportunity as well.
2 pole
And when we
lights,
add the
not that
electrical,
bad.
that kind of stuff, it'll be able
The,
to.
the fence is the number one thing
Yeah, but that's,
for baseball. That's the number one thing.
that is one
How
high
long
price
does your
item right
baseball
there.
season run exactly from like practice to the last game?
I mean, we can start practicing today if we wanted to.
Okay.
But
3 or 4 months.
4 or
Thank
5,
you.
yeah.
To
Yeah.
you, nowadays, we try to get done by July 4th just because kids
Go on vacation, that kind of stuff.
vacation,
Okay.
parents, whatever. So
And when do games
May 1st.
May 1st. is like opening day?
End of April to May 1st, usually in that range.
Yeah, and this is a 5-year park project. with
How
different
many years are we
phases.
into it?
I'm sorry?
How many years are we into it?
Well, we've gotten into 1,
Okay.
but it's been like preliminary, has been almost 3.
Because
So-
as you can see on that list of pricing, we had a $600,000 grant. We had to pay out 130 some thousand just for all the different paperwork and filing and everything else, which brought us down to the 460 mark, I think it was.
Mhm.
And if you see where the yellow line is, yeah, it's gone.
And,
Yeah.
So there's nothing else down that list
that yellow
being
line.
done unless we get another grant. And that's why we keep doing this things like tomorrow night, Boots and Bows. We had the thing out there, the box for the donations. We had the Jeep thing. Jeep thing, we raised $200. Out there, I think we raised $100 and some dollars. And we had the paint the side or chalk the sidewalk thing. Little things like that, raising
But
money.
that'd be fine.
So we're looking for any ideas we can get to raise money, because on some of the grants we can get, if we raise 10,000, the grant matches at 10,000. So it automatically goes up to 20,000. So we're looking at matching grants like that as we go through. But any ideas that people can come with, what can we do to money for the park?
It's like she said, work together.
Yeah, any little thing.
And we
My
do
wife's got,
have, Community Foundation of Wabash County, we have an account,
Mhm.
that, hopefully we'll be able to get a DNR grant somewhere down the
Yeah.
road that would be a dollar for dollar. So if you guys, want to make a
And I'm a
donation or
big-
fundraising, that would be great. We could really,
What if we see,
Partner.
like, we go to a yard sale this summer and someone has got 500 feet of chain link fence for sale for cheap? Who do we get a hold of to? I mean,
Well, for our part, we have very strict restrictions on what we can and cannot do with our grant money. Was it Buy America, Build America?
Yeah.
We have to be able to 100% prove that the things that we're doing fall within those grants. So it might
But
be
if
something
that's
that a
not-
community donation, and then we get town, residents maybe come together. We do like a park day, and we
Right,
do
we-
those kinds of things.
We're talking about us doing it,
Yeah, but for us to
We
be
got,
able
we
to,
got permission from the board years ago to do it back.
as long as it's not
Helping in the park.
included in the scope of our
cleaning
grant
up,
money,
cutting,
We
correct?
can't.
cut brush down.
Yeah, this,
Okay.
this,
hills
this
off,
first, hey, everyone,
anything we can do like that. we-
this first phase is basically we're trying to identify a scope of work to submit for this $500,000 grant, which pay the grant administrators $465. And with that, that's really what we're looking at defined. This is federal funding, and there's specific restrictions associated with it. And that's all included with our cost estimate. Now, with that, you're going to be able to do in-kind projects as you move forward as a town. Cleanup day, brush removal. It's some type of an improvement on the ball diamonds. I've been there, I've done it. I've updated the South Whitley ball diamonds years ago. So there is definitely opportunity. But once the town gets past this grant funding, they're going to be looking for other grants associated with it as well. So Isaac, what else do you have?
As far as costs, we start moving into pavilions. So this was another one of our big ticket items. So as far as pavilions or design considerations, we do have 2 that we're considering. So large and small here. We do have, where was that? Sorry, the small, we're considering just the existing pad. So the existing pad is 20 by 30. With the new pavilion, that is kind of one of the things we did want to clarify tonight. So in the most recent figure, updated figure, we had a size of 35 feet wide by 120 feet long. So the large pavilion, at least for right now, based on the elevations, we're estimating that we would need to pour the concrete floor for that, and then build obviously the wooden structure and everything that goes with that. We are considering the restrooms to be under the pavilion roof. So I know we've already talked about moving those to potentially the other side. That's not really going to affect costs, at least for the pavilion. So we'll save some money on the main, the sewer line and the water line. But as far as pavilion costs, that's really not going to affect anything other than where it's at. Other things that we had considered, like I said, restrooms are going under. And then I don't know how much you guys know about when you pour a new building, typically, or at least with the CMU buildings, you need a footer. Basically, it's a piece of concrete that you pour into the ground that attaches to the building. It helps with stability. So that pricing is considered in the site work as well. So pretty much the pavilion cost considers the pad for the big pavilion itself, all the wood that goes with that, and then the wood structure for the small pavilion. So as you can see, we do have costs for those. The small pavilion, with it being the concrete existing and being much smaller, the cost is also much smaller. So roughly $23,500 roughly for that. And then large pavilion, with the concrete costs and it being much larger, roughly $286,000 for that one. So moving on to the playgrounds, and I'll just switch to this figure here so we can see roughly the existing playgrounds. This is that dark blue area there. So for the playgrounds, we are considering a large playground or large equipment area and then a small equipment area. So the existing equipment out there, as far as our cost estimates go, we are assuming that the town is going to be removing that existing equipment and then putting it back up once the new mulch areas are in. Gary, I believe we had talked that a church organization originally put those up.
I think somebody said that, I don't know.
Are
So-
we
I don't
planning
believe
to
I've
take
heard-
out the equipment and having it reinstalled, or just leaving
Planning
it
on leaving it
there
right
and
where it's at,
adding to
adding
and
around it.
then re?
That's also what we kind of wanted to clarify, because I know Wendy wanted to see the existing park area.
With it, yeah.
So that is the blue area that we have shown there.
It actually went right in there.
Yeah, pretty much right through the center of it.
It
Yeah. So
kind of eliminated our fence. What we had originally was a splash pad and a small playground area would have a fence around it where the parents could sit in the pavilion and the small kids are in a area
Find
that
there.
opened out in front. But where the equipment is now down there, kind of throws a whole ringer into that because it,
So I will say on the existing equipment, the reason we're doing, and my costs essentially include a whole new area and not reusing the existing area. And the reason for that is with how we have it laid out right now, the existing area doesn't really fit very well within the new design. The other thing we're considering is if we're going to be doing these play areas, as you guys have seen out there, the mulch area is contained with a small fence or like a little like
Step.
plastic.
Yeah.
So if we're going to be replacing these areas, there's no real way that we're going to be able to keep that there. I mean, if you could imagine if we left it there, it'd be a fence in the middle of the big play area. So that's kind of what we're considering right now is essentially replacing the existing play areas with a new rubber mulch play areas.
is that like
What's
mulch
the
there?
fence for?
Hmm?
What's the fence for?
Around the playground?
Oh, it's around it?
Well, it was around the little kids' playground.
Yeah.
For the little kids are going to be, but
As an extra
It'll
safety.
separate the
But
large
now-
equipment, and the small equipment.
But if
so-
you look at the equipment down there now, it takes up a ton of room in what is it? Little, big,
Right.
they play on all of it.
Yeah.
So it kind of threw that out as far as having a fence around it. Unless you put it around the whole area, then you have to walk all the way around to get into the playground.
Not to cut anyone off or your cost estimate,
Yeah.
just time wise, we are at 6:15. I know there is a meeting at 6:30 for LACA, correct? Before we can finish, but I just want to make a reminder before anyone has to leave, I know that she already had to. Our next park board meeting is April 19th. March 19th. I'm trying to skip a month. I'm sorry. I'm just ready to go. March 19th, as well as on March 30th and April 13th, we'll have our public meetings to kind of go over the plans through phase 1 of the town's 5-year park through the Okra grant, just to keep those dates in mind as well. I know we'll have some that are coming in and out over the next few minutes. I just wanted to add those dates so that we can all kind of get together again to discuss those plans we have moving forward in the next couple of years.
And if you guys would like, come up and put your email so we can keep you guys included and communicate.
Yeah, because this was kind of a hidden meeting to some of us, because we had no idea what was going on in someone.
I'm so sorry, we've done
Yeah,
newspaper, Facebook,
Book.
That's where
for the last few years. I'm sorry, I just
No.
want you to know it was not a secret.
No.
from
My wife
anybody.
said, she was like, "Did you know about the park meeting?" I was like, "Nope." I'm going now, and I was like, "When is it?" She goes, "Tomorrow."
Thursday of every month.
Yeah, we advertise it, it's been in the window.
Okay.
Well,
The
13
paper.
years, I'm sorry.
Isaac,
And
do you have
it will
anything
come
else?
on the town's
We sit around begging for people.
the town Facebook. So how there's
There's several.
the official town, the town of La Fountain
Okay.
page, not
Yeah,
the
and
messaging
usually-
board.
Usually the other ones will
Share
as well.
those
Okay.
ones. And it'll pop up most likely with my name.
Okay, let's go back to finishing up
Yes.
on this.
So yeah, we'll just quickly go through the remaining costs.
Yes. I don't
Obviously, if you
rush
guys
anybody.
would like to, if you have any questions, just reply to that email that I send out with the figures. So I can include the costs as well, so you can look over those. But just going through all the rest of what we have really quickly. Large playground, current scope, we're looking at roughly 81,000, and then for the small playground, roughly 35. Athletic courts, just really quick, we are considering just a regular asphalt for the basketball court, and the town would paint lines on that. So we do have a cost for a kit for that. The pickleball courts, we are considering like a regular pickleball court, the acrylic surface on the top, kind of the green, like typical tennis courts that you've seen. So moving on from that, we've got roughly 86,000 for the pickleball court, and that includes some chain link fence on the back of it. And then for the basketball court, we're at roughly 53,000. Going through the walking paths, typical walking paths around Wabash, Gary, you found that they're 9 feet wide. So that's what we're considering with the costs. We are also considering asphalt. There are several other sizes and concrete path cost as well in those cost estimates, just to compare several of them. So with the 9-foot wide path as drawn, we're looking at roughly 78,000. Splash pad, the current size is 30 by 30. We'll be feeding it with those 2-inch water mains that I had shown here earlier. So costs for that were based on another cost of a similar style of pad. Their pad was 5,000 square feet. Ours is only 900, but their cost was $2.5 million. So basing that on our size, we're looking at roughly 465,000 for the pad, including the main costs as well. Baseball facility, I know we talked about all that a lot today. Right now, all we have is the goals. So that is a rough cost of $8,400. Then moving on, restrooms, we had also talked about those. Currently going under the roof of the pavilion, roughly here, to be considered to be moved over here. Those costs do not include the footer, as I said, but it does include the actual concrete building and all the plumbing that goes with it. So that's honestly one of our largest costs. We're looking at roughly $295,000 for that. And then lastly, we had the sledding hill, regrading that to the west rather than the east as it currently is. We have a rough cost in there of approximately $11,000 for that. So I know we've talked about a couple considerations. We don't have too much time left, but if we want to take this last 10 minutes to talk about a couple, maybe expand upon a few of the things that you guys had requested and go over that real quick. So we talked about lighting of the baseball fields. We had also talked about replacement of this fence along the north. and then a home run fence out here to be curved like a typical full-size baseball field. Any other parts of the site that anyone has anything?
I got a question. Why does it cost $8,400 to put 2 goals in?
That's the cost of the goals mostly. So I looked online, rough cost for a soccer goal is $4,000. So that would include the goal, the netting, and then the ones I found I priced out with wheels. So all you'd have to do is pick up the back and then move it a little easier than that. So those costs are mostly just the actual material. There's no real installation
You
cost.
said those are movable, yeah?
Yeah.
What about considering taking that money, putting it towards the baseball field for lighting
Or
and-
fencing?
or fencing, instead of having the soccer fields? And then we can maybe gather donations for that at a later time.
Because the baseball field's used now, I mean, a
Yes.
lot.
And take the money for recreating the sledding hill and do that at a later time and using that money for the baseball field.
And that's what they're
Okay.
trying to,
Yeah.
they'll, yeah. like
Well,
just give
here,
us-
here again, this is what's been brought before us. This is an overall cost estimate. With this scope of work with the grant, none of that's probably going to be included. It's going to be absorbed with the site development,
Right.
okay? But with that, we want a placeholder for these actionable items and give you a cost estimate. Can you find that locally you could probably do it cheaper? Probably, right? But right now, we want to give you a placeholder of what we're estimating the total cost of the park is going to be.
Yeah, and part of the reason why we're doing that is like Chris said, to get an overall idea on costs and then honestly kind of get a wish list together of what priority is what. So we're working on that first priority that we received from the park board. But obviously, like I said, we can change that to have different things be different priorities based on their input, your input as well.
So if we would have to somehow come up with enough money to do a back fence, could we go ahead and do that?
Well, I mean, there's nothing stopping you from doing that for sure. And like Chris has said, none of the baseball stuff, most of this is not going to be done within this phase. So if you're able to do something like that and get enough money together to do that, I would say absolutely go for it. Because the other thing you have to consider with our grants and like state revolving fund loans and Oprah grants like that is we have to be BABA compliant. So that immediately raises the material cost of pretty much everything we have. So it has to be made in America and certified to be made in America. So you guys will probably be able to get material for cheaper and quicker than our
I had talked
contractors.
to Bill Mark
So
a couple
So if
years
we
ago,
do
and
work to it,
had
they won't come in and
talked
destroy
about
it at a
giving us
later
your
time.
cost on it, so.
I mean,
Well, so the great question there. So right now, we're moving forward here with this site development work. We want to make sure that all of that is completed and those contractors are basically out of the way. And then if you guys have a specific project like the fencing that you coordinate with the park board and then work through that process to get that installed. And you're right, there's a combination of ways you can do this. When I was up in South Whitley, okay, we had a baseline money that we raised through all of our concession stand money. The gentleman took him like 10 years to get. At that point, we're taking those funds to look at fencing. And we ended up building a restroom in that situation with in-kind donations. So there's
When I
multiple
took
ways
over
that,
baseball, there was $30 in the bank. Now we've got like 3,000, so.
okay, but with that, so if you think about it, if the material is the biggest push on the fence and I've got the labor to properly install it, well, that reduces your overall cost significantly, right?
Well, I don't want to, like I said, from what I'm looking at, from the outside looking at, nothing's going to the baseball field.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. So,
Remember, it's a
Well,
5-year.
no,
plan.
no,
Yeah.
that's fine,
As of
that's
now.
fine. But what
We
I'm
can
saying
put it
is
on the list,
if we raise that money for the fence or somehow rig up some lights or whatever, I don't want 2 years from now, we have it the way we have it set and then contractors come in and tear it all
Well,
down.
really the biggest issue now, as you guys brought forward, is the lighting. We want to make sure that the electrical service is adequate size to include some additional lighting for the baseball. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense
I think
100%.
fencing is different
The fencing is the
Different
number
item.
one thing to
Yeah.
be compliant with the league, but they've let us slide for a lot of years, so.
Lighting is the number one.
no,
Is
that's
it
number two.
fencing
Two,
or
that's all
lighting?
that, that's all that.
Number
Okay.
two.
They're like, bring it to us first, your ideas, and then we'll pass it by everybody to make sure it's okay to put it in. And anybody that, you know, if you
I mean,
can find somebody
basically,
that
the city-
donates stuff,
City
that's,
board's always told me they don't really care what we want to do down there as long as it don't cost them any money.
because
That's the way it's always been.
if you find a company that wants to donate stuff, right now, I went to Lowe's, benches that we're putting in the park that we're going to put people's in memory of, if they want to buy a bench down there and put it in memory of or whatever. We're doing those. I've talked to Lowe's. I'm in the process of getting all the benches free from Lowe's that we want.
Yeah, they have a program.
Yeah, different programs
I've
like
already
that.
I contacted them before.
But if you talk to somebody and, you know, some company and they're willing to donate, get a hold of us. We'll go talk to them and go through all the right channels and.
Yeah, I would just say as long as we're working as that cohesive, collaborative unit for, like, I mean, because we all have the same common goal, which is to give the best that we can to our residents, and giving them facilities that are going to be utilized and impact them to make this a place more people want to move here. You know, I think that's our goal is we live here, we want what's best. So I think just making sure that we're all on those things. And I can't answer your question. Like I would, you know, I don't want to be a part of something that's going to destroy something that you guys have put time and effort into. That's never going to be what we want. I would just say that as long as we're working together, I would hate for you to put lighting out there, but then it goes into, you know, wiring issues, however that may work. But as far as the fencing, I think that's something that we don't have development out there in that outfield. I just feel like as long as we're kind of on the same page, we do meet Thursdays, but I know you have,
I'm going.
I was going to say, but maybe we can look at email, you know, adding those email lists, pushing out that communication, and just kind of having that collaborative team, I think would be helpful, just so we kind of all know we're on the same page. And if you guys have an idea, making sure that, you know, it's going to fit in that, and then kind of taking each other's ideas and working them together.
Next year I'll be free though.
And ultimately.
I'll be here next year. I think I'm for 2 years.
I'm sorry, one
University of
second, and then,
Kentucky,
like, with anything that the board comes up with that they want to do and go with, it always has to go back to town council.
Yeah.
So if we, you know, just present it to the
Yeah.
town council or the park board, and they'll.
Don't make any
sure everything's
changes.
good.
Come to us first.
Sure.
And then
Yeah, we always have.
You said the walkway, I'm assuming the parking lot will be asphalt.
Yeah.
The walkway will be asphalt,
That's what we're thinking, yeah.
and then anything else?
And yes,
The basketball court?
Basketball
And,
court,
pickleball
and then the pickleball court will be asphalt, but it'll have acrylic over it, so.
I work for an asphalt company, so I will talk to them about, I work for Shoshone Trucking,
okay.
so I will.
Yeah, I think just since we have the
Everything will go out for
official
bids.
town
They'll
board,
take care of that.
with the park, just working with them, making sure that anything that happens within the park parameter, you know, is presented to us so that we have a cohesive unit when we go to the town council. Just because it is the set board now, just to have that. So it's not, this says this, this says this, just so that we have a united front on it, making those improvements to our.
We need a master plan in terms of
Yes.
here's where we want to wind up.
Yeah,
How you get there.
there's so many different ways,
Don't
but we
always
want to
actually-
all make sure we're driving the same bus to the same
Chris's point,
destination.
you gotta have
We're
an
gonna
outcome.
need plenty of
You gotta know where you're going.
But I do
Yeah,
know
help out
that
down
LAFA
there.
is
Figure out how
starting
you're
in
gonna
3 minutes.
Different
So we'll kind of, if we could wrap up
I
so
can't
that
do
we
it.
can
Yeah,
But just
give
keep
them
in
the
mind
space
with-
that they have
With all
scheduled at
these
6:30.
renovations that we play baseball from April to July.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad you guys came tonight, because this information, we'd have had it probably a month ago. It would fit more